Well, on the campaign trail, President Trump promised if he won, voters would have to prove they were American citizens in order to vote.
And I will secure our elections. And by the way, our goal on election will be one-day voting with paper ballots, proof of citizenship, and voter ID. It's very simple.
Well, he just kept that promise. Trump signed an executive order that now will require proof of American citizenship when you register to vote in federal elections.
Lastly, sir, we have an executive order for your attention on the very important subject of election integrity. This is going to cut down on illegal immigrants on the voter rolls, ensure that the Department of Homeland Security and the data that they have available is being fully weaponized to ensure that illegal immigrants aren't voting. This will include a citizenship question on the federal voting form for the first time.
There are other steps that we will be taking in the coming weeks, and we think we'll be able to end up getting fair elections. Perhaps some people think I shouldn't be complaining because we won in a landslide, but we got to straighten out our election. And it's an honor to sign this one. To sign all of them, but to sign this one is a great honor.
A sacred impact, Lawrence, to protect election integrity and ensure fair elections, as the president just said.
Well, I think it's about election integrity, and it's also just about the whole case of the people that are here legally in this country and the people that are here illegally. When it comes to this issue, I think this is the issue that Democrats, you just have to concede to the president. Anytime it is about protecting American citizens, when it comes to whether it's voter integrity, or when it comes to protecting American citizens, when it comes to the illegals that have committed crimes here in this country, you just got to give it over to the president because he's winning on this issue at every single corner. And look, there are policy debates that you can have in this country. You can debate pathways to citizenship and all of that. But when it comes to part of being an American is that right to vote, to be able to affect the democracy. And you don't want non-citizens being able to do that. Now, there's some states and some local city councils that want them to vote in local elections. You can't have that in this country. It is a privilege. It is one that people died for. You know, Black Americans, even the people that came here against their will, it took 3 constitutional amendments for Black Americans to get the same rights as everyone else. So why are we just giving it away for people that did not work for it and earn that right? I think the president is going to win on this issue yet again.
And Arthel, yet many people are resisting this, and there's sort of an uproar about it. But why, given how clearly Lawrence laid out the benefits of this?
Well, like Lawrence said, if you're not a citizen, you shouldn't be voting. But consider this, because it's my understanding that the IDs that will be required will be a real ID and a passport to prove your citizenship. First of all, I'm not sure that that does prove your citizenship guarantee, but also there are many Americans who don't have a passport. There are many Americans who don't have real ID because they don't get on a plane like most of us do, so they don't really need it. So just consider them as well. So how are they going to prove that they are who they are and they're legitimate?
Excellent questions to explore the execution of this, Kaylee. And you contrast that with, as Lawrence said, California doesn't even require an identification. So is this really setting a message for the next 4 years and beyond?
I think it's setting an important message. Most polling that I have seen shows overwhelming support for voter identification. I think there are things people just think, yeah, we want to know who's voting. Now, look, you can debate, and the left will always say, we don't find cases of 100,000 illegal immigrants voting. But a lot of American citizens say we shouldn't have 1, 2, or 3 in our federal elections. So why not have a sacrosanct election? I think this is a very common sense executive order. All it says is you need some form of identification. Number 2, we want the Attorney General to enter into information agreement sharing with states to see if there is a case of illegal immigrant voting. And then number 3, conditioning state funds to ensure that there is some sort of voter identification. I think it's a common sense measure. Polling reflects it, and we'll see if it can be executed. It will be litigated, though. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah, that's the only given.
Yes.
Look, I've just got to say, I vote here in New York, right? Do you know what I do to get to the ballot? Where do you live? I give them an address. They're like, that's great, go on. Like, there's no ID, there's no requirement, which I think is insane because the majority of Western nations require some kind of ID to vote. We know that the American population supports that. They're in favor of that. Look, I have to have an ID to get cold meds. Right? So
true.
why wouldn't I have an ID to vote? One of the most important obligations and
Sacred.
responsibilities we have as Americans.
And interestingly, do you remember the court case in Virginia that was litigated during the campaign about those on the voter rolls who had either checked that they were citizens, but there was a discrepancy or there wasn't a valid proof? So the question I think then is presented is what penalties would there be if someone maintains such, but the passport is invalid, as you said, or they maintain and there's no proof? You know, what then? Would it be criminal repercussion? Because I think so. I think it should be. This is to your point, as Tinker saying.
And to your point, Emily, remember when that was originally passed, it was supported by Democrats
Right. Yeah.
and Republicans. And then when it came back up for political purposes, then they challenged it. The right to vote, the protection of voting, is not a partisan issue. It's an American issue. And I think we're seeing this, as Kaylee reflected in the polling. The country wants America first policies. You don't want to be on the other side of that.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.